Okay, we're good.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the August 17th, 2021 Board of Selectmen's meeting. My name is Chuck Fuller. To my right is Lenny Esty. To my left is Tom Hart. Before we get going, let's do the pledge of allegiance, if you would. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Okay. Let me call any additions to the agenda from your discussion. All right. Signature folders. I make a motion to approve the minutes. Selecting minutes from August 3rd, 2021. Do I hear a second? All those in favor, vote aye. Good. I make a motion to approve the August 3rd, 2021 work session minutes. Do I hear a second? All those in favor, vote aye. I make a motion to pass the selectmen's minutes dated August 10, 2021. Do I hear a second? All those in favor, vote aye. Also in the signature folder, we had a disbursement request from the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services. The state revolving fund, our billing for this period was $52,030.91, which brings us a total of $64,106.66. And this is, I believe, for Bailey Road reimbursement. Is that what that one is?
Yes.
Okay, good. There's a JP Pest Services agreement for the town library. I want to address that in a few minutes. There was also a yield tax levy information in the folder. Make a motion to approve the manifest dated August 19, 2021 in the amount of $74,229.05. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. In the mail folder, we had a letter from Eversource regarding the removal of streetlights. Tom, next week, can you bring in that information you had on those particular lights and the cost, or the one-time cost to basically pull them down?
Excuse me, they called and they're starting removal this week.
Perfect. Good. I want to get, because we haven't talked in a year, I just want to basically get the dollar figure back on tape so everybody's clear what's happening and why and the cost. In also the mail folder was a letter from Oski Lake Alliance regarding the ZBA decision of Boyle's service station. And we're next up to administrator comments.
Oh, I had to take a deep breath for you because you were talking so fast.
Okay. We've got a lot to go over.
Okay, I did some investigating on the air purifiers and I sent all of you information on that, on which one I recommend because of the noise level, the cleanliness level. So if you all want to look at that, and then maybe next week we can discuss which one to go forward on.
The related expenses to that would be covered underneath the ARPA funds.
Yes, it would be an ongoing, I think, expense for filters, but the filters are supposed to last 12 months in this model.
We get 2 years of coverage for filters then as part of it still.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, order ahead. And we finally have reports out of the postage meter, so that's a great thing. Last week I sent out the cemetery contract that had come in from the Effingham Cemetery to Matt. And I submitted the second USDA payment. I completed the Primex inventory, corrected a couple items on that. Let's see. When you're ready, I have the auditing budget prepared. And let's see, I worked with Michelle Clark and we'll be preparing, well, Avatar will do the MS1, and then I guess I need to do the MS4 by September 4th. So those are some of the big things I'm working on right now.
And the biggie is the application in for the ARPA fund.
I could not figure it out. I went back and back and back. I finally sent 2 separate emails. 2 people replied to me. Everything you did on July 28th was perfect. So.
And you push the button.
Oh yeah, I did on July 28th. On July 28th, I did it.
That one's worth $70,000 towards less than 100,000 70 costs. So that's good. All right, anything else?
That's it.
Money.
In the budget planning thing, next month. You register for that?
Yes.
Is that gonna be here?
No, it's gonna be at the library.
So I've already checked with the library. I put on a call to Dave Strauss and said, anybody in the budget committee that wants to go. So the three of us will meet at the library that morning.
Yeah.
And
Will you say what time?
the show itself
It starts at 9.
is 9 to 4, I believe. We've got, yeah, it's like 9 to 4. Yeah, 9 to 4 p.m. So we'll do it at the library. So
Okay.
I'm gonna remember us to show up. We'll get that entire course and then the schedule for that. So I guess for that. I'll give you a chance to get everybody.
I didn't receive the login yet to give you the link.
Okay.
Yeah. As soon as I get it, I'll pass it
Send over,
on.
please.
Yeah.
Thank you. So this is an NHMA training session, budget finance virtual workshop. It's an all-day event. And that will be held on Tuesday, September 14th of this year. And we voted last week to move the selectmen's meeting until Wednesday, the 15th of that week.
I had a question from customer, customer resident, when are we gonna get the cemetery road? Fixing that up, but, this as well, been notified, so.
Let me find out when we are next planning.
He was doing-
We'll do our grading thing, the real grading thing, we can spot grading for this one.
We were doing, on the road, right?
Mike, Pine River Road culvert start this week, right?
It's supposed to, yeah. I haven't talked to Ron. I was kind of, wasn't available yesterday. So I'm gonna reach out to him later today and see where he's at.
Looking at social media in the last week, last 4 or 5 days, it looks like a lot of the equipment's been moved up. there.
Yes.
So it's ready to start. So
He's got a few projects around town to do that I've talked to him about. Cemetery Road is one. We have some ditch material, ditching work to do to take out some riprap on Bonneman, which I have to talk to him about again. That's a catch basin that went in years ago, needs to be cleaned out. I think Mr. Dinger or somebody brought that to our attention. And Hunter's Bridge, the transition, that intersection needs a little bit of riprap and some shouldering around that new pavement to shed water. So there's a couple of them.
can we, when he's down in that neck of the woods working on that particular transition piece, we want to put up another no-two truck sign. The one that's there is properly posted, but you cannot see it until you're literally on it because of the bend coming down 153. You want to put a second one right across the street, the left side of it.
Paralleling?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if we can do that, we know we've got a sign out here because one time I was getting them, the third one was there, so we've got a sign for that purpose as well as the full. In the shape.
Adding it to the list.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mike, the one on Bonneman Road, is that the one across from Grace Gladys' house?
Oh, I'm not sure if it's across from Grace's house, but it's up,
Just past Oak on the.
no,
around the corner?
no, this is on Bonneman.
Oh, Bonneman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking Bailey Road.
This is the one that DES, Acton Wakefield Watershed, Province Lake,
Yeah.
everybody worked on that one, Big goes back in the day. That was only set up to take so much sediment in there, and then you get the rip rat out.
Yeah, okay. I was on the wrong road, sorry.
Yeah, I got that. Bailey. Is this something on Bailey that is an issue?
Well, no, you know what Grace Bader
Yeah.
right across the street from her house. They dug a section out right there and the water pools right in there. When you get a good heavy rain, it pools right in there. And then it starts running across the road. I don't know, I didn't know if there was a catch basin there that was plugged up. If not, it'd be a good candidate for
Okay. So,
one. It's dry now, but there's nothing there.
I wasn't expecting it to be. So who, you say they dug it out, Our people?
Well, somebody did. It's, you know, it's a low spot on the other side of the road. I mean, it pulls up there and then it just runs across the road. So,
All right, when I'm out on Bailey Road with Hanson.
yeah, I didn't know if there was one there and it was covered up like the one on Calca Hill and all.
Yeah, that one is another one we need to get cleaned out from left to right. The basin, I had it cleaned out,
Yeah.
but it just is not flowing under the road over to that ditch line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had some thoughts on that.
Did we hear from Clean Harbors on the cost of the waste oil?
No, I did not. I gotta try and find another number.
Okay,
Mike, do you have a contact over there? Because
Clean-
I've reached out twice over there, and I can't get anybody to call me back on the waste oil thing.
I've got a couple numbers, you know, we have Dean Robinson and then there's another gal that works in the office.
If you could, I was hitting the general number and leaving messages, and
Yeah,
I've gotten no call back, so,
he's a tough nut.
okay. All right, if you could, send it over.
it's not from DES. I mean, it's the cost of Clean Harbors.
Clean Harbors, rather,
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh,
Yep.
Clean Harbors. I
Clean
have
Harbors,
the
I'm
number,
sorry.
I believe.
Okay, sorry, thank you.
And I did finally make contact with Kevin Cody. After weeks of trying to get hold of him, his mailbox is full, but he did see my call and he did call me back. He's supposedly having a guy seal it today over there.
Good.
He did put some bitumen down the bottom. He thinks he's, by the time he gets the siding on and flashing, and the leak will, whatever's leaking will be remedied.
Okay,
And then if he's got any sealer left from sealing the inside, he's gonna put some up above. So, and then he says, yeah, maybe I'll send a guy, depending on the weather, maybe I'll get somebody over there to side it and get it closed in. The door that he ordered, whoever he ordered it from, transposed the dimensions, so it came in the wrong size. So they got to reorder, but they're gonna put a rush on it. So, you know, you might see it in 6 months instead of 8, but he said if worse comes to worse, he can make us some temporary doors that we can lock. So,
good. And we're gonna need to get signs, special signs from DES that are spelled out on what has to go on each of those tanks. Would you be able to reach out and just see where we might be able to get those? Or
Sure.
We'll need to order one for each of the barrels in the main tank.
That's it there.
Okay. Mr. Hart,
Yeah, I rode around with Danny Jordan last week about the roadside mowing. He's pretty much all set. He's looking at $1.25 an hour for it. We rode around, did the main roads just to get an idea, he get an idea. They really ain't bad because of the trucks take that stuff off.
yep,
But insurance, he's working on that. He should have that this week, and then W-9, he can drop those off. He'll be ready to go in about 2 weeks if we want.
we want. Did you talk to him about doing either a section of town or certain roads in town?
Right, and that's the new ones. I think we need to go over into the dirt roads though, because the new ones, I think it'd be a waste at this point. Just start on the, you know, the granites and those, because they're really overgrowing in pretty good on a lot of those. Let him start that section and see how far we get.
All right, so pick that part of town to spend this year.
All right,
Did he specify what he had?
yeah, he's got the arm.
Okay.
You can drop it over anywhere. It goes
Yeah.
up 15 feet high too.
Oh, cool.
So you can get any things that are just snow, grab hold of and drop down into the road.
Yeah.
Grab those up. We have a problem.
Is there a name for the part of town you're talking about? Go over to that part of town, what part of town is that?
Granite section. that's-
Brandon, is
Yeah.
that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay,
Audie, can we update the minutes on the website? Selectmen's minutes, please.
update, what are we missing?
The last one was on there, July 13th.
Oh, I sent them, I'll get hold of you.
Okay, thank you.
I just sent it to another set.
On the cemetery up here, I got an email early this morning. I didn't read the whole thing, but there's a hiccup on Lyle's cemetery plan with the trustees too, so that seems might be on hold at the moment.
Okay. But we still haven't heard back from the attorney yet on that agreement.
Yeah, and I mentioned that to Lyle, that we sent it out to the attorney for review to see what happens when money does run out.
Yep.
And that's all I got.
All right, thank you, sir. Hanson Bridge, Mike, the final documentation was sent over this weekend to Chris Fournier. As soon as he reviews that, signs off on that, the last check will go out to Hanson. If he's here, we'll hand deliver it. If he's not here, then we'll put it in the mail to him.
Okay, has anybody heard from Chris?
Nope, no, this was sent out Sunday, and I didn't see anything yesterday. So, Chris, and he's usually a 2 to 3 day responder on something like that. So as soon as we've got it, we'll pay it. I followed up with with Chief Adam Thompson in Tufton Borough regarding the process for an oral board for hiring a new fire chief. And I've also reached out based on a couple of recommendations to the New Hampshire Fire Academy and EMS Resource Center for additional information and guidance. 2 or 3 people directed me up there. They would potentially be able to help us. So that one's in process. Audrey needs a picture of the rock.
It's in the water right now,
Okay. Can you grab a picture
in
of
the
it?
poison ivy. Randy?
Can we get a picture of it from a phone, somebody's phone? Can one of the
Maybe.
guys walk over and just snap it and send it over here?
Get a drone. I ain't going near that. poison
No, I
ivy.
understand. It's like, it was coming up in pretty good shape.
Picture of the rock or,
DES wants a picture of the rock in the water
okay,
that needs to be moved
Yep.
before they're gonna give us permission to remove it or move it, whatever, move it or remove it.
We don't want to remove it, we just want to move it.
Yep. Yesterday I met with Matt Sawyer and a couple of folks over in Ossipee regarding the Ossipee Rec Department support costs for the Effingham budget for 2022. As people may be aware, each of the last couple of years, we've approved $10,000 as our support function for our kids to use the Ossipee Rec Department. We were notified last year that there would be a price increase coming, which was the primary reason why I was over there having that discussion. And I did get a report of usage over the last 3 years, which I forwarded to the office here. We're currently using between 20 and 24% of the resources for the different programs that are over there. And I was basically notified that the minimum starting number to talk about next year is $30,000 for the Effingham commitment. So there'll be more information coming on that. They've also offered to come over and make a presentation to the budget committee explaining the various uses as well as all the related costs of keeping that program going. Beaver are still causing us issues on Clough Road. I had asked Chris Garcia to update a proposal he had given us to make a wedge-shaped beaver deceiver, very similar to design what we used up on Pine River Road, except this was much more heavy duty and made out of aluminum. Unfortunately, aluminum prices have gone up dramatically, so I was hoping to look at getting 2 of them, but I think it'll be too expensive to try and do that. But I would like to try one to see if we can get bang for our buck and reduce our costs of dealing with the beaver up there. And that one would be just under $3,200. Any discussion? Questions?
No,
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve up to $3,200 for a beaver deceiver design by Chris Garcia, Cobalt Construction Management, not to exceed $3,200. Second,
second.
all those in favor? All right.
All right,
When that finally gets built, it'll be delivered to the site where we will need Evans to basically go out there with a backhoe to lift it and put it in place. Last week, we had requests from a couple of different people for the Board of Selectmen to appeal to the ZBA under RSA 676:5. All the information that was provided last week, we told everybody we would take under advisement until we had consulted with legal counsel. We did consult with legal counsel this week. And I would like to make a motion that we do not make an appeal to the ZBA based on town council's advice. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, Fuller, aye?
All right,
All right.
Okay, new business, the JP Pest Control addendum to the existing pest control contract for the library building. There is an add-on addendum for $300 a year to treat twice a year for carpenter ants in the bell tower. So there was an infestation up there. It was determined that it has affected 2 of the main support beams. The architect and structural engineer will be coming out shortly to take a look at it, to determine what will be required to fix it. But in the interim, we need to make sure we can keep the pests out of there, so pest control is there.
So that was a $300 added on to,
To the existing 68 quarterly that's part of that building for mice and everything else. So I'm told that they don't have any mice in the building. They don't see any in the library, so the ongoing pest control up there appears to be doing its job. So, any questions?
This is the yearly
It is,
treatment.
yep.
Is it just for the tower or are they gonna do a perimeter?
They already do the lower. This is anything above the second
Oh,
story.
okay,
So everything on the first floor or ground floor is already part of the
it's
normal
already covered,
contract.
yeah, okay.
'Cause I asked him why there was such a difference, and he said, yeah, because we're above the second floor. It's like, okay. I'll make a motion to approve the JP Pest Control add-on contract to the pest control contract at the library. In a second.
second.
All those in favor, Fuller, aye?
All right,
All right.
There had been some homework done by Deanna over the last week or two regarding purchasing 1 or 2 voting machines for the elections next year. There will be 3 of those. Little homework was done on that, and the version that's still at this approved by the state is a very old version, and apparently there's been some questions in some of the updates. And even though there are newer machines out there, apparently the state has not looked at that and basically decided on a machine. So at this time, we're not going to be looking at any ballot machines unless you guys want to take a look at it. And
well, if they're coming out with something new and improved, we probably should.
Right.
that's, Mike, can you elaborate a little bit more? Because I know you and Susan Slack went up there and met with those folks last year.
Yeah, there's a couple of new generation machines that came out a few years ago, and at least 2 of them were pretty impressive. One of them is a variation of the older machine with some updates, and the machine that we use in the state now has been discontinued in manufacture, and the parts are being cannibalized from other machines to keep them running. Part of the problem with the state is they want control of the ballot process as far as creating ballots. And a lot of these machines incorporate their own software so that they would potentially, some of them have to, some vendors, you can make your own ballots with a program that they can give you, or you can work through it. Other vendors, I think, have to exclusively make the ballots for you. The state wants control of that ballot. They want to make it, produce it, what have you. And that seems to be the biggest hangup. So I think what's happening, my last conversation, is they were a few years out at the state level from probably getting this done. Part of the thing when I talked to Bud Fitch was that none of these companies are even coming forward to push their product on. So I have a couple of vendors contacts, which I was considering when I get some time to let them know they probably need to come back and pursue the state and getting some approval. So we're a few years away, and if we put some pressure on the state and the vendors both, maybe we can see something a little sooner.
Okay. Yeah, and the primary reason this particular issue came up is we're looking at 3 elections next year. And Deanna has it on pretty good authority that with the elections being held during the week, we will not be able to use the school. We will be using the room we're sitting in right now. So we were looking for another mechanism that would help us automate the entire process and cut down on spatial needs. So it doesn't look like that's gonna work, and we will have to come up with a design to move people in and out of this room from a voting standpoint. Audrey mentioned the air units, the ARPA money that the town is getting, a little over $177,000. Those units will be part of that. Each of the rooms in the building here, as well as the police department, will have one of those clean air units to help manage air quality in the building. Randy,
Yes, sir.
we saw your monthly report.
Yep.
If I observed correctly, the calls volumes looked like it was down a little bit in July from previous months, or no? Like
Was it
30, 31?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, a little. I think a month before it's like 30.
okay. So I was expecting summertime, we might have a little larger usage. So I'm glad we don't, but I was expecting it. And I saw that the Green Mountain Treatment Center only had 7 medical calls from that standpoint. So if I remember correctly, their current volume of calls is less than it was years ago, over the last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
So the trend is in the right direction on that. And for folks that don't remember, the town actually signed a contract with Green Mountain Treatment Center last year, where the town will get reimbursed for the call activity that's up at their center. So we're covered on that part of it.
We did receive the first check
Good, okay.
this week.
And with the report, I also saw an inspection form based on the ordinance that we passed last fall for fire inspections in commercial buildings. Was that one you made up, or did we?
Yes. We designed it. Basically, gave a few to get your opinion and thoughts. This is like a rough draft.
Okay, well, the reason I was looking at one of them, it said NG, and that to me is natural gas appliance, is that not?
Yes.
So we should potentially, we've got LP appliances on there, so the natural gas one, I would say we need to move.
Okay.
When we did that ordinance last year, I don't remember wood stoves being part of that, was it?
Wood stove. Probably not, because it's usually not a wood stove in a commercial building.
Yep.
But people's home insurance likes to have a wood stove inspection done.
Yep.
For their peace of mind.
Had to do it for mine when I changed insurance companies.
And
Okay,
quite a few of the fires we've had in town are caused by the wood stove or pellet stove being installed incorrectly.
okay. Have you gentlemen had a chance to review this at all?
Yeah,
Any questions on the description of it?
no, I did have one, but got answered, so.
So Randy, I basically want to do is I'm going to send this off just to have legal counsel review it as a legal doc, because this will be one of the things that's going to get us fines related to it if people are not complying. So I just want to make sure we've got all the legal bases covered in the disclosures of the document. Audrey, can you send it to Matt and ask him to review it and see if there's anything we need to add to it from a disclosure standpoint? Okay, let's see, underneath new business, we already talked air units and we talked the Beaver Grate, so we've got those done. We've got Randy done. And we're at the point where oh, I'm sorry, go right ahead. I'm sorry. Go for it. Thank you for stepping up.
I don't know if you got that letter I got from the state on the repeater on the mountain.
It came over yesterday. I just quickly glanced at it, but it did not look like it was good.
No, they said they have to reclassify that area of land because it's not a communication site. My question, if that's the case, why is there a fire tower up there with a radio? But regardless, my other thought was maybe getting the blue, does something on Leo Racine's property.
There you go.
We can get. See if that would work. Because when we were building this house, you could see the fire tower.
Yeah, and I actually, the guy up at in Whitefield that runs the big tower company.
Yep.
I actually walked Leo's property with him. We walked all the way up to where the town master plan said that there was a recommended location. he said there was only 270 degrees of view on that. And he said from a radio standpoint, it would be great. We would not be able to get any cell coverage probably added to that tower. And he said, no matter what you did, the expense to run the lines up there for power and electric and whatever were going to be in excess of 100 grand.
Right.
So are there any grants for that kind of stuff?
They were, but they basically said if you can't get it done within a year, you're not gonna do it. So you have a timeline, that you have to get the work done there.
Is there still money available?
I can check into it.
If you can, and if it's available and it says you gotta do it within 12 months, one of the questions I might have is, do you have any idea how long it takes to get a permit approved in Concord to install
No.
one? Okay, all right.
Probably not quick.
No, but it's a case that the
We
towers,
applied for grants before, and they said you're not gonna get done within a year, so basically, if you have the land and the access to the property already, that's 50% of the value.
Can't you collate the locate on the top fire tower?
They won't let us.
they won't let us.
Why? It's like new, it's no new store, right?
I know, they put $2
And
million
there's a
in
road
fixing it up,
there?
they don't use it.
No, that's, I don't understand. So
It's the
road
way,
goes there?
nope, it's the way, it's private land all the way up, so that we end up having to get releases from everybody on deeds and do deed issues,
Yeah,
the way the letter came back from the state, if I remember correctly.
but it's
And
a forest society, they would give you that permit.
they were the hangup last time, they didn't want to do it. So the question is asking again, but even if they said yes, there's still the issue of the access piece.
Okay,
So it didn't sound like it was promising without a whole lot of work, somebody
The
chasing.
explanation from the state was, they got a right of way through private property to get up to the fire tower, which
Yeah.
doesn't include the fire department.
right.
Right.
Huh, that doesn't make sense, but okay.
So I'm willing to do the balloon test thing to see if it's feasible and look at that again. The other thing is the day the guy was here, I had him drive down to the library and talk about would anything in the top of the bell tower cupola area help us out? And I took him down to the fire station there in Center Effingham. And his recommendation was for that area, the property that was next door to the library, using the back corner of that field and putting a 199-foot tower in there. And he said that would give you quite a bit of coverage in the entire area.
No more towers. Can't you co-locate on the steeple of the church?
Nope.
Seriously.
No, they won't do it because it's too low and there's not enough coverage. So the biggest issue we have is that whole part of town is minimal to no radio coverage and cell coverage.
Right.
So for
I like-
EMS services,
I'm fully aware, and I like it.
it's a big issue. So,
If we could put a tower up and it can bounce off one of the repeaters we have now, that's all you really need, so where they can hit C or D, no, A or D. That'd work.
do we look at doing it down at the fire station location or look at
That won't
it?
be high enough.
Okay, so look at,
Basically, I said you need like 900 feet elevations to be able.
okay.
So,
Yeah, the belt, I was working with T-Mobile on trying to get something in a cell repeater in the bell tower at the library. And with that total height distance, it was like 780 feet or something like that. So it wasn't over 800 feet. It would put it taller than 2 or 3 of the other existing cell towers in the 20-mile radius, but they're not, at this point, they're putting up a new tower, but it's gonna be off 16, not anywhere near Effingham, so that one's out the door.
The other option too is if we could hit one of their towers, the OVMA can use it and be willing to pay some of the costs. You know,
So if we do a balloon test on Townhouse Road and determine whether it can hit one of those towers, it'll also help us make a decision on whether it'll work or not work.
right,
And if we decided to do a tower there, is that grant money still available to a degree, do you think? Or,
I can always apply,
okay. All right,
because in the narrative, you have to say, we get the property, we get access, all we need is a money to build.
okay. Next step would probably be doing a balloon. I guess the first step is doing a balloon test to find out what it might hit.
Yep.
Do you have access to be able to set that up?
I could call, must be my comments.
see if they'll come over and do it, figure out what it is. I know when I checked with them at the library, it was like an $800 cost to have the test done. So, but that was like 3 years ago. So, but let's do it, and we'll check with the neighbor to the library and find out if he'd be willing to consider some kind of a lease situation to be able to put a tower up on the backside of the property if that's what it takes. I would also ask him to run the balloon test at the library at the cupola level of the bell tower, just to see what we can hit out of there. So if we were not successful with the other one, we might be able to do something on that one building. So,
Okay.
okay.
Just out of curiosity, has anybody maybe looked at the other side of town, coming back at this side, Bonneman? You go up to Bonneman and head into Simon Hill. And
There's actually-
a couple of properties there.
There's actually a tower down there already.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, because I've been dealing with one of the executives at T-Mobile trying to find out an interest point. They've got 2 locations spelled out. One is defined, but it's basically off 16. He said Ossipee Effingham town line. I don't know whether that means north end of town or down near Hannaford's or somewhere in that area. When the Lakes Region study was done by Mark Hampton a couple years ago when he drove the town, the only T-Mobile coverage was on the north end of town at 16 and 25. So way up. So we don't know. It's apparently confidential at this point. They won't tell me where the location is. So I don't know if we can.
What about Culver Hill or your front yard? That's up high.
Yeah, the Colcord Hill, I threw that out to T-Mobile. It's like, you're looking for height.
Yeah.
And if you do something with a tower on top of Colcord Hill, you're gonna hit one of the higher points. The problem is, and I forget what it is, Pickpocket Mountain, I think, down toward Wakefield. There's a high point there, and then because of the location of Colcord Hill and Green Mountain, it's still not gonna hit a large chunk of.
Doesn't it hit the Hiram Tower? You know, the big, huge Hiram Tower, it's like 300 feet high.
It would hit that tower. There's actually 4 towers down in that valley I can see from the house.
Yeah,
Don't know the answer to the question.
and there's infrastructure up that hill.
No, the other key question, I mean, to be on top of that hill, we'd have to talk to the neighbor and find out if they'd be willing to have power and other stuff run in there. That would be part of the issue, is basically getting power up to whatever needed to be done, because that would be in quite a ways, 1,000 feet or more to do that. But T-Mobile didn't bite on that one initially, but they've still got a second location. They've mentioned that they got to consider. So from that standpoint, we'll see. We don't know yet.
So check, are you looking for cell service coverage, or are you looking for emergency responder?
Primarily for emergency responders. But if we can find the right location for that, I am told that there would be a likelihood that a smaller carrier might be interested in putting one of their repeaters on that same pole.
There again, where I was envisioning on Bonham, there's an outlook over Province Lake, basically. Which you can see Green Mountain, you know, all the way up towards your way. Again, I don't know if anybody's explored that, just because that might be able to do what you want to do from that side of town.
The tower that's out there right now in Wakefield that faces that covers everything up to the mountain. It just doesn't do anything on the other side toward the lake.
That's right, there's nothing in the lake.
Right.
We don't have reception.
So, yeah, when I was looking at that to try and figure out where these folks might be putting a tower, I mean, there's one that's near the Hannafords. That's actually a lower height than we would if we used the bell tower at the library. The issue is volume of use. And because of, 16 being heavily traveled, they've got the more volume of use to be able to justify putting up the cost of the tower.
So there's coverage on Province Mountain. And I wonder if the Benzing family would be open to that.
Which one again, Blair?
Province Mountain on
Yeah,
the
so-
lake, there's coverage there.
I can ask the question.
And
The-
I don't know about the Pickpocket Mountain being in the way, I don't know about what.
No, it's not. I mean, you could put one on Province Mountain, or you could put one up where Mike is talking about, and then you would get reception down into the bowl,
Yep.
so to speak.
Yeah, they wouldn't tell me the location of the one they've chosen. I'm hoping that's actually the location they've chosen because that was a coverage hole
Yeah.
when you look at the map of the different
It's a huge
towers
hole.
around us. So we'll see. We got more to go and we're not giving up hope for it because of the amount of money that's being thrown at it right now. I was told that T-Mobile's agreed with the government to put over $1 billion into build. And they're massively putting up towers along all the turnpikes. And it looks like 16, it looks like they have several projects going up 16 into Freiburg and up around Bartlett on 302. So, okay,
Supposedly, a few years ago, Pat Benzing did have an agreement with some cell company to put a tower up. I don't know if it was, I think it was on Providence, but what she owned anyway,
Yeah, that section.
because she owns half Parsons Field. So
Like all that.
This is what I do for a living. I'm about to enter a project with Commonwealth of Puerto Rico through a subcontractor to put up wireless towers in the mountainous region to address this. If you'd like to contact me, I might for our townspeople and for the safety of our first responders. Just some volunteer work to help you figure it out. If you want to contact me,
appreciate it.
thank you, Kate.
it's what I do, spatial data analysis.
I'll take your word for it. I don't know what it means, but I'll take your word for it.
It means I play with how to send electrical signals through the air around mountains. For
Okay.
this purpose.
Anything else?
Now, while we got
Randy?
Randy, I'm gonna contact that guy that owns the land across from the station. And if he doesn't wanna like cede the land to the town, we could maybe agree to an easement. That would work, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's, in Congress right now, there's a $750 million bill going through. If it goes through, it's a fire station construction throughout the country. So I know the police have been contacting me about a public safety building. So, I mean, that'd be one avenue to fund the fire department side.
Okay.
I don't know if it's gonna go through enough, but it doesn't be available next year.
You know, I know Sean had reached out to me and wanted to know if he could look into it because he was aware of one police department not too far from us, I guess, that ended up getting a full grant to put a $2 million station. So public safety complex. So,
Okay, this is, I would suspect that it doesn't cover safety complex, it covered the fire department side. Because there's a.
that one, yep,
Yeah,
targeted.
there's a firefighter's assistant grant.
Yeah, we can build half the building just for fire department. Okay, anything else, Randy?
Well, I was gonna say that our budget committee chair is safe because I was talking to JP Chemical. They can't do anything for budget chairs. That'd be an industrial project.
Yeah. Okay, we're now at a point of public comment. So we'll open it up and we'll see what we got. Ms. Belisle.
I'm here to request this board write an apology, preferably in the form of a card, to a young lady that the three of you actually happen to know, Miss Zizi Davis. One of the top students in the most recent promoted class at Effingham Elementary School, and a 7-year student at that school. I'm not clear why, and that will be my follow-up question. And I'm aware of the court order. The court order affects. Mrs.
Kate,
Cotton- wait,
We're not going, Kate, we're not going down the path. There's a legal issue right now with
No,
you.
this is
and the
outside,
town.
this is the destruction of my daughter's personal property.
You understand?
I'd like to-
Kate, we're not talking about it in this meeting. It's a legal action right now between you and the town. We're not dealing with it in this meeting.
is Zizi's
We're done.
process.
Kate, no more. No more.
That's fine.
This is one subject we're not getting into.
Okay, so then the other one is if item number 10, if the C item agenda concerns me or Mr. Mountain Farm that I'm the legal representative for, I'm formally saying that I want that to be public. So if you go into C and you discuss any meeting, anything about Misty Mountain Farm, me, or that legal action, I'm going to make sure that that is undone because I'm saying I want everyone to know about it. That's it. I'd really like someone to write an apology to my daughter for destroying Progressive.
Anybody else with public comment? Blair?
So this is like a really bizarre question, but you know how we're supposed to have our right to quiet right to our property, and I pay big taxes, as we all do. So I have a question about what do I do about all the generators around me on Friday and Saturday and Sunday? There are so many generators. I don't think you can hear it, but because I'm up on a hill, Coker Hill is really loud. People on Old Town Road with all those travel trailers, it's so loud. I can't sit outside without I get shaken because I'm used to quiet. And it's not just like a backup beeper which comes and goes, it's constant. So weekends I go away. That's not right. So what can we ask them to turn them off after like 10 at night?
There would be, we don't have a sound ordinance in this town. So
Okay.
unless it's a really, really bad disorderly conduct kind of ordinance, we can't do anything with it.
Right.
I agree with you. I hear the same generators.
So what do you recommend? Could be, I mean, I understand. if there's
Welcome to
power
Effingham. There's nothing we can do.
No, but be creative. So do you
I would.
Can we write an ordinance? Can I start writing an ordinance about, we just ask if they need to be turned off at 10? I mean, they could run all day, just run all day when all the other noise is going on. And then after 10 at night, I can't sleep. I mean, it comes in my bedroom window.
They have the same problem in other areas of the town too. You can
I know,
watch
I
the
know.
social media and it's happening all over the
Okay.
place.
So would it be possible to put together an ordinance that we just ask them to turn off at 10 at night or 9 at night? I mean, what do you think about this? Do you hear them where you are, Lenny?
I can hear one on Pound Road, but it really doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I mean, there's one on Pond Road that's far away, that's not too loud, but there's one right next to me that's really loud. So,
I don't know which one I hear, but it really doesn't bother me.
yeah,
So actually, I have a comment regarding this as well is.
Excuse me, can you state your name?
So I'm Lori Dunn. The sound ordinance is something that I find somewhat intriguing because one of the issues we have at Province Lake is the fireworks that go on until midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And right now we have no recourse. So if there is the ability to put together an ordinance to be voted on, I think that's something that a lot of people would find attractive from a number of different perspectives.
so
That's
the
my comment.
fireworks thing is also really bad for water quality.
Yes, I know that.
And the problem with the ordinance for the lake is you've got Wakefield, Effingham.
Yes, I understand that. I'm very knowledgeable about that, so I do understand.
All
that.
right,
But there is a piece about the sound ordinance that could be quite useful to a number of residents in the town.
One of the issues we're gonna run into is telling people how they can run their properties. In this town, because it has chosen over the past not to have many rules and regulations for anything, I'm not sure you're gonna be going anywhere with it because there's nothing there
I'm
today.
willing to establish it if you want, because I've had experience with that.
Talk about it outside. of the meeting.
Yeah, if you folks want to pull something together, we can do a public hearing on it. The enforcement issue is going to be the key thing that the selectmen would look at. So it's not just designing an ordinance. The enforcement aspect has to be there. And if it cannot be easily enforced, then I would not personally be in favor of doing an ordinance.
And that would be
because-
the issue. We
So-
don't have the kind of coverage we would need to enforce it.
Yep.
It's the same issue we have with lots of other.
You can talk
Yeah.
to Lily and Aaron and Kenworth and tell you what the enforcement issues and all the expensive equipment they bought.
So, like, in part of your homework, reach out to Chief Duchesne and just find out from a police standpoint what they've run into. Where he used to be over in Ossipee, I'm sure he's dealt with that kind of thing over there too in his career. So he may be able to provide some additional guidance.
We have veterans too, that all I know one personally, Randy knows one personally, that, the fireworks and the noise brings back the memories of Vietnam. And they react.
Yeah, so my friends said too, have to go
Just,
inside,
you know, that might put something in your ordinance. Campgrounds have noise things.
Yeah.
Not to mention animals, like I have
Yeah.
a dog who's terrified
Yeah.
of it, and we can hear the Province Lake fireworks from our place.
In my golden retriever, even though I'm on the other side of the mountain, I hear the Province Lake fireworks and it causes our dog a problem too.
So I wouldn't object to something like that either, if we can get it going, just because that 10 PM thing is not a bad idea. I go to bed at 10 o'clock myself, so. When fireworks are still going on and I have a dog shaking like a leaf and trying to crawl under me.
If there's a way we can make it work and it can be enforced, it's worth a discussion.
Okay.
Mr. Cowling,
I pulled together some nuisance ordinance from around the state and some of my health officer stuff, putting that together. I haven't had time to kind of dive into it to isolate some of that, but it would go along with noxious uses. As far as fireworks, yes, you can regulate that. Gunfire in the town, quite possibly, there's been some legislation going around that may make that a little bit more difficult than it was in the past, so we'll take a little looking at. So there's a lot of things with noxious uses or noises that could be addressed. That said, I think that Blair's concern about generators would probably not be an easy one to do, because you're providing electricity and refrigeration and everything. So I mean, I understand when you're using gas powered generators that it's a little more noisy than say the propane bottles. That can just phase out over time when people start replacing. But I think the town it would be hard to get people to go along with that. It would be hard to enforce it. And then you run into people going to sleep and keeping your refrigeration going.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And the other complicated thing is, I think in some of those situations, I don't know how those properties are taxed, because they're not really homes. They're just, travel trailers. So, so that's an interesting thing that they're not taxed as much as a homeowner. It's complicated. It's totally complicated. I get it.
And on that level, there's another, again, it's an unpaid position, so I only can dedicate just so much to this, not that I'm looking to have a job. Yeah, the issue of trailers around town, or RVs or whatever they're classified as, typically is something on the radar for the town. We may be seeing some extended uses, some of these come in and they get a 150, 180-day permit, but never leave or never stop being occupied. And there may be septic timing issues and stuff. So it's becoming.
we're actually going in and doing an internal study right now on that particular area all over town, and be able to ratchet it up and go in and take a look at the people that are basically living there 3, 4, 5 months out of the year, every year, with no septic systems whatsoever.
We had one comment from Mr. Meisner saying that you should look at the racetrack ordinance. It might have some of the noise in it.
Yeah, and I haven't pulled the my camera plan. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, John. Okay, anything else? Hearing there's interest in that ordinance. Okay. Mr. Collins, you have some, oh, I'm
I
sorry.
was gonna let this young lady go first.
Yep, I didn't see the
I
hand.
just wanted to first comment, as a follow-up from Diane Terecki, ECC, wanted to follow up that Emlyn does not have any maps that you don't already have here for the Effingham Conservation Commission, so you're gonna have to try to find another source for those elevation ones. And I wanted to say thank you to everybody involved in getting that part of where you go onto Hunter's Bridge Road paved. Thank you, thank you. I go into Cornish a lot because it's where I have to go to get my food for my dogs and stuff. So I really ended up appreciating that twice this week, because it's a real bear to get through all those.
Yeah,
potholes. So
we had
thank you.
actually looked at eliminating that entire crossroad area and just making it one
In the
entry,
meantime, totally appreciating the fact.
but that's all we could do at this
Hey,
point.
yes,
So
that little piece is just.
now people can fly right off 153 and go airborne.
Sadly,
before they
yes,
get
people
Parsonsfield
people
Road.
can do that, but the rest of us can navigate it without doing damage to our cars that we're trying to preserve.
And you'll notice when you drive that road now, that is actually posted for no through trucks. So
Is
there
it?
should,
Okay, I didn't see
there
it.
should be no
I didn't see it
logging
when I went
trucks,
there yesterday, but
no gravel trucks, no commercial heavy vehicles on that road.
awesome.
So,
Chuck, I had a couple of things I just want to run through. Do you by chance have a paving date from all states for the Snow roads.
End of September.
That's all you got out of them.
That's all I could get.
I might rattle their cage if
That's
that's okay.
good.
with you. Okay, with that, let's see, I'll move on to, you touched on the election, 3 elections next year. Did you happen to have dates from Deanna on those?
No, when she met me with me about the machine, she actually had those right in mind and said there's actually a formula apparently. We looked at it, there's like so many 1 year, another year, and then it repeats. But she said next year's 3. She just didn't say which ones.
Okay, because I was going to say that I don't know about the school property, but we do have some land out here. Worst case, if we needed to run an election in a tent, maybe not the big behemoth tent again, but just an option unless it's cold weather times, which would preclude us from doing that.
Hold on one second, Mike. Deanna? We were just talking about elections for next year. When's the first one? You know, March.
September, November.
So September and November are possible, but March is definitely not.
No work.
Yeah, snow on,
Thank you.
snow on the ground. The other thing, when I looked into the rec department before, Mr. Chafee was supposed to get back to me before town meeting last year, and he did not. One of the things I had gotten was prior numbers weren't reliable. I got that from Matt Sawyer, I got it from Mr. Chafee. So the 3 years going back is great. Not sure that the data was thought to be reliable. Last year might have been the first year of good data, but we had COVID. So my opinion, we may not have any good data. But if you did go back 3 years, the one question that never seems to get answered is how many actual individuals, because of the way they count in Ossipee, it might be 24%, but it might be 5 kids just going to everything. So it's the individual head count, I think, would be really helpful for folks in the town to decide whether $30,000 or $35,000 was worth spending on the rec department, because I understand that a lot of the programs have an additional cost to the parent on top of that.
And it's all based on, that additional cost is all based on the federal lunch qualifications. So depending on where you are, you don't have anything whatsoever for free. So, but the report that I did get from him yesterday, Justin was there in the meeting.
Yeah.
And he did mention that previous 2-3 years ago, there was nothing. Last year, COVID really didn't give him an accurate number. The thing that did show up is that 2019, we were like 20-something%, and year to date, we're 24%. So the trend is up a little bit. And part of that, I believe, is they have done a pretty good expansion coming out of COVID on the different offerings at the different grade levels. And participation, when I looked at the chart yesterday, we've got participation in every single, to a degree, in every single program they've got. So, and the heavy ones are, soccer and baseball and some of the other things that you'd expect. So
There's a lot of parent involvement among Effingham parents with Ossipee Rec by coaching and other volunteer activities. And this board in this incarnation may be unaware of it, but up until I forget that about 7 years ago, we always put money into a fund, and that fund was dissolved in favor of paying year by year. So we should keep that in mind before. We have no recreational opportunities at all in this town for children. And so we do this no matter what the cost to continue to have access to the Constitution Park, which is a stone's throw for nothing.
And to that point, Kate, when I met with these gentlemen yesterday, the first thing they did was offer up to come over and meet with the budget committee and with the selectmen to review with us in detail the related costs to run the program over there. So it's not just Justin's salary, it's maintenance of fields and everything else. And they're gonna get into detail with us on that, along that same vein.
I hope that you widely publicize that meeting and hold it at a time when parents can come.
The budget committee meetings are usually at 6 p.m. on Tuesday nights, so that would probably end up being the date once the budget chair is chosen, which night he wants them in on. So, but Yeah, so and I know from other comments I've heard over the last year or two, there are a lot of parents in town that see value in it, so it'll be a lively discussion, I'm sure. Okay, anything else from public comments?
Is there anyone on the Zoom meeting that has comments? Please raise your hand or ask to unmute.
Oh, excuse me. Hi, my name is Karen McCall, and I apologize for coming in late. There was an incorrect Zoom link that had been posted or sent.
Yeah, I
So-
apologize for that.
Oh, that's okay. Is that Deanna?
No, it's Audrey.
Okay. Anyway, no, that happens, but I just want to apologize because I feel like I'm coming in the middle of something, and I don't know if it's appropriate that I bring up something about the, what I'm interested in talking about is the gas station that is being sort of grandfathered in to proceed with its construction. May I speak about that at this time, or do you have that later on the agenda?
We actually have already covered it, and a decision was made by the board unanimously that we are not going to pursue an appeal with the ZBA under the RSA.
And the ZBA's finding was to go ahead and let the business proceed. Is that correct?
To give them the variance. They still have to do some planning board work.
And what, with the planning, what does that entail?
You'd have to reach out to the chair of the planning board to ask her that question and what her intent is in managing the review process.
All right, thanks so much. I just want to go on the record, though, of saying that I'm very concerned about this because there is, no perfect technology. We saw with the deep water well horizon in the Gulf of Mexico. This was state-of-the-art technology, and look what happened. And the economic impact on so many people around that area, the polluted fish, et cetera. So we have an aquifer that is a real treasure here. And once it's tainted, it can be near impossible to clean up. And this is people's drinking water. There's no substitute for drinking water. And so what I want to go on the record of saying is, I really do hope that people could reconsider this, because even the best technologies do fail. And we are talking about the harm to one business compared to the harm of thousands of people, if not more than that, who depend on this water source for their drinking water. So thank you for the opportunity to speak. I really do appreciate it.
And your comments are recorded for posterity on YouTube. So anybody that wants to listen to the session here will also hear your comments.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, if there are nothing else, I know we have a couple of non-publics, so I'll make a motion, we go into non-public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Good, thank you very much, folks. Minutes or no? If yes, how long?
Mm,
6 months?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
All right, make a motion to seal the minutes for 6-month time period.
Second.
You're live again. Just FYI.
Yep, good. Yep. Would I hear a second?
Yeah, like second.
Okay, all in favor for the right?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Are you doing 2 sets of minutes?
no, one.
Just one?
Yep.
And the one you just talked about? That's.
Everything basically
Everything's
fits
sealed,
into
okay.
this whole scenario, so.
Okay.
All right. We are back into regular session. We're out of non-public.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? All right.
Aye.
Thank you very much, folks.